What's up, guys? It's your boy Kittens coming back to you guys with a little bit of a spell break video talking about the strongest talent selections you guys can use inside of your classes while the game is still out and playable. And for me, I've been playing a lot of Spellbreak, enjoying a lot of it, getting a lot of gameplays and recording a lot of stuff just to have a lot of stuff for later on. So let's get right into it. The two strongest classes, I have some gameplays in the background of them. One of them I feel like is a extremely health-based class using Curious, Vigor, and Vampiric. So, you know, the Vigor giving you that little bit of extra 150. You can pair this with something like Stone Shaper. In the gameplay in the background, I have Stone Shaper, so I have the extra 20 health on my shield, and then the extra 50 when I have fully red on my scrolls. So that, you know, ultimately that extra 70 health basically means you can in a lot of situations just health bar people, just kind of walk at them, do your attacks, hit 3 or 4 attacks in a row, and you know that because you have an extra, in this case 70 health rather than 50, and then you're also gaining health back if you're, you know, taking a lot of damage, that you can take an entire boulder, you can take an entire, you know, 2 whole, like, you know, fire blasts, you can take, you know, 3-4 wind shears, you can take a whole toxic slap, and just kind of walk into the person and know that, you know, you have that extra damage they have to hit, even with extra damage perks. Now, the other class selection that I feel like is one of the strongest ones is one of the ones after this, a gameplay with where it's just Runic Fluency and Inspired. Runic Fluency just so you can use double flight perks or double movement perks, with the Inspired doing the extra damage. You know, normally I don't really use the extra damage. I've just been starting to use it now. Before I was using some mix of Vampiric, Thirsty, or some kind of a little bit of extra shield here, or some kind of extra miscellaneous thing, but I feel like just the two is actually a really good, practically usable perk on every class. Just extra damage across the board when you have runes and double runes, because double flight is just so powerful. And really the reason it's so powerful is because you get additional attacks, and it kind of gives you additional movement on the in-betweens when you're out of mana for your attacks. Because if you didn't know, you can use things like Featherfall or Flight when you're completely out of mana and you like have to move rather than levitating because you can't use your extra dashes or levitation or whatever. You can use your Featherfall or your Flight as an in-between, and if you have double, you have, you know, just that extra movement and that extra ability to move and get free recharges while you're in the air, because your mana will recharge while you're in flight. So it's just really powerful because of that additional movement that doesn't require mana, that you can use with good timing with the different gauntlets after you kind of learn the timing of each one. The double flight is just so powerful. And then otherwise, I guess honorable mentions but just kind of some of the tertiary perks. There's kind of some, you know, there's things where I've seen people use something like, we'll say Hardened plus Dexterity for the extra jumping, with something like Vampiric. So like Vampiric or Thirsty or something, so you get the extra health. So let's say you're using Toxicologist or you're using Wind, you know, just I love using Toxicologist. I don't really use the class like that. I haven't really messed with Dexterity, but using Dexterity to really be able to run in and have extra mana kind of functioning as an extra mana bit, to be able to run in a little bit faster, your dashes, that little extra weird dash that they added into the game actually becomes really powerful with Dexterity. You can kind of use it as like an extra, like mini kind of dash rune in a weird way. And if you're using it with something like, you know, the Toxic or Wind, you're going to want something like Hardened, so that you don't get hit by the explosions as much, you know, when someone blows up your Toxic on the side. Because if you're using Wind, you're probably going to use something like Fire, Toxic, you know, depending. That's me as a person. I like blowing stuff up. So, you know, if I'm using Wind, I don't want to, I have Toxic side, I don't want to, you know, get blown up from it, I don't want to get frozen, you know, things like that. So it's just, there are some weird miscellaneous things. Maybe you want to use, like, you know, something like Tracking, if you're using like Wind plus Fire, because you're going to be moving around really fast. You know, so there are some other miscellaneous perks, but the thing to think about is when you're using that kind of tertiary, third, interesting kind of tertiary stuff, you're missing out on double flight, and you're missing out a little bit on that extra 150 health, or that, you know, that secondary perks. Actually, I'm going to kind of look through. Wellspring is a really interesting one that's fun. Ambidextrous is a really fun one. That's actually really powerful and gives you extra damage bonuses depending on which gauntlets. So that middle one has a number of very interesting perks. Wellspring probably being one of the most interesting ones that I enjoy the most.
because extra damage when you have like a big combo attack and you've used all of your combo attacks. You can get 10, 15, 20% damage from just running in and doing combo attacks. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the video, and maybe use that to build your classes and stuff. Here's some cool gameplays. I hit a little sky meteor in the beginning. I thought that was pretty sweet. So it's been your boy Kittens. Expect some Spellbreak gameplay in the future. Peace.